Hey, what is up, guys? It is Needle. In today's video, I'll be bringing you guys an updated controller settings video for you guys. I'll be breaking down all my sensitivities and why I use them and why I think that they are the best on Fortnite for controller. But Fortnite actually added in recently the controller edit mode sensitivity if you guys haven't seen yet. So I made a video covering it when it came out, what I think might be the best range for it, but I've actually set it on something else. But we'll break that down a little bit and show you guys what I think the best controller edit mode sensitivity is as well. And if you guys are new to the channel at all, please make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications if you're looking to get better on controller Fortnite or just up your Fortnite game in general. I've been posting frequent tips and tricks on controller Fortnite, just showing you guys how to get better and just overall have a better game sense and improve your gameplay. Now, to get into my controller settings for today's video, we'll start off what everybody wants to know, what everyone's here for, the controller sensitivity X and controller sensitivity Y. So I'll throw it up on the screen right now. I rock 7 on the X and 0.65 on the Y. As always, if you've seen any of my settings videos in the past and you know just how I play, this is what I've been rocking since about February at this point. Is the 7 on the X and 0.65 on the Y. So I'll slightly tweak it here and there when I'm playing if like something just feels off and I just feel like my shot's off and I kind of want to adjust it. So I'll maybe throw it down like 0.25 or 0.5, but it's nothing drastic to the point where you'll see it in my gameplay. So just a general consensus, general basis, I'm always going to be rocking that 7.65 on the X and Y. And the reasoning for this, I've explained it in the past a little bit, is just I feel the most comfortable on this, and I've been playing on it for a couple months at this point, and I've been a big fan and always been preaching to people, if you're going to learn a sensitivity, especially an X and Y sensitivity, this is just your overall game and aim sensitivity. So when you're running around with like a shotgun and you're just hip firing, this is what your sensitivity is going off of. So you're going to want something that you're feeling pretty comfortable with. If you're someone that likes to run that low sensitivity, I'm going to suggest that 5 to 6 range, just because at this point you can run the higher controller building sensitivity that will make up for it, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So for me, I'm more of like the medium sensitivity, I would say, on the X and Y, around the 7 area, which is actually pretty decent. Like, I can go up and hit some shotgun flicks if I'm in some decent fights. I can kind of throw my thumbstick around when I need to, so it does feel pretty quick at times, but then I also don't feel pretty slow and restricted when I'm just running around. But if you're somebody that might prefer to run like a higher sensitivity, I would suggest even going like the 7.5 to 8 plus range, just because I know some people are like freaks at building and editing and they just want to have that starting sensitivity a little bit higher to have it boosted. So if you're someone that likes to run it higher, I think you could definitely run it in the 8 plus range at this point, just because people are used to it and people are getting better. And I think honestly, to compete against people on keyboard and mouse, it does not hurt to run the higher sensitivity if you are used to it. But overall, if you're going to take any tips away from the X and Y, it's really going to be personal preference. But whatever it is, just stick to it for a couple weeks, a couple months. Get used to it, really learn it for what it is. That's what I'm always preaching. And just overall, it'll help your game so much more in a couple months when you're fully adjusted and you can say that you really understand your X and your Y sensitivity. So now that we've broken down the X and Y sensitivity and why I think that is the best range, I'll first now be breaking into the controller targeting sensitivity, where I actually have mine at 0.3 currently, and this is actually something that's always stayed the same as well for me, just because I feel like I like to have the lower one where I can really track people and hit my shots when needed, and then I kind of use my body and just my X and my Y sensitivity to line up my aim assist, if that makes sense. So I'll kind of frame my shots beforehand. If I want to spam aim assist and just spam L2, I'll make sure that my crosshairs are already on them, and then my controller targeting is more of like taking someone out of the air, or if someone's just running and I'm just like trying to laser the shots up, or basically just like with my SMG. So I kind of like to run that a little bit lower just to make sure I'm hitting all my shots. And the range I usually am in for my targeting sensitivity is going to be around 0.25 to 0.3. That's me personally. I know I always say it, but this is really going to be preference. I have friends who rock 0.5 plus, which is something that I haven't used in months, and I'm sure I couldn't. But if you're used to it, hey, rock the higher one. I'm all for it. So if you can rock the 0.5 to 0.6 range and still be accurate, go for it. This one's completely personal preference, but it's the same basis, same morals here, where if you're going to use it, get used to it, rock it. That's what I've done for the past couple months, and it's actually helped me tremendously. But the next one is actually something that I've changed up a ton, which is the controller scope sensitivity, which is actually at 0.5 now. So if you've seen the recent settings videos, you would know that my controller scope has always been the same as my targeting, and this is something I kind of thought about and was like, I really don't pick up snipers much. Sniping's not really a part of my game, but I want to change that for the better part. So what I did is I raised my controller scope sensitivity so I can kind of fly my sniper shots around a little bit more. I haven't been hitting my shots as much as I'd like to, but this is something that I've realized that, like, I don't pick up snipers, I don't snipe, so it's a learning curve. I'm getting better with it, but I just threw it up there so I could kind of hang, because a sniper is just such a cheap shot, and if you have a nice, quick, snappy aim with it, you can just get free kills just like that. It's a one shot, and especially if you play the scrims and the competitive events, having a sniper to full kill someone or just get that easy one shot, one kill is a game changer. So I've decided to raise my scope sensitivity so I can be a little more snappy, a little quicker on the snipes, and it's something that's going to be a little bit of a learning curve just because I'm not used to it yet, but I'm going to learn it over time, and hopefully make a sniping video on how to improve your aim and just hit more shots all around in the future. Now that we've covered the aiming and the scope sensitivity, I want to cover actually my controller building sensitivity, and this one's pretty simple, it's pretty right to the point. I rock the max, I rock 2, so the reason I have 2 is just because at first I really didn't mess with it at all. I was just like, oh yeah, I actually learned how to build on my regular X and Y sensitivity, why would I need to learn that? But over the last couple of months, ever since I started making YouTube videos, I've been watching more settings videos and seeing what people like to do. I actually got this one from Gronky, I like his theory on it. It's just going to be, why not, since building is such a big focus in Fortnite, the whole game is based around building, that's where the skill gap really is, why not just have the highest building sensitivity and get used to it, just because being able to build faster than someone really is an advantage in Fortnite, so why not have it on your side and rock the highest sensitivity? So I kind of bought into it, went into creative a little bit, and realized that 2 is not something you can just throw on. It takes a couple weeks to adjust to. He has a really good way of explaining it by saying just like switch it up a little bit each day, maybe go up by like 0.1, whatever you can do, whatever you really can just like feel like you can stick with but still get your way up to 2. Go for it. Just because, like I said, building is such a huge part of Fortnite. Being able to build faster is never going to be a disadvantage in any situation. You might as well learn the higher building sensitivity. Maybe 2 isn't good for you though, because maybe you rock a higher X, maybe you rock like 8.5, so 2 on that would be basically like 17. So I understand that completely, but just in general, it's always good to have that high building sensitivity. And if you want to get used to it, my best tip to you is just hop in creative for a little bit, see where you're at, see where your sensitivity needs to be, and just adjust it from there. And if you can't make that jump in one day, you're human, it's okay. Just take it slow over time, and then just slowly build your way up to 2 or whatever you want to get to. And now the next sensitivity that we'll be covering is what I've referenced in the beginning of the video, what I was so excited about, which is the controller edit mode sensitivity. And if you guys saw my video, I made it on a couple of days ago when I announced when it came out. I still think the best range, like the highest you should go, is probably around 1.7 to 1.8. Rocking 2, it could work if you're used to it, and if you just kind of used to it over time. But for me, I kind of like it a little bit lower. I was watching a couple streams, a couple videos, just getting other input of what people were saying. And people were saying if you like to play the more competitive style, the scrims, you want to compete in the World Cup, they actually do suggest rocking a little bit of a lower one. I saw actually in a video of 1.1, they were saying is the best for just editing walls at endgame and tunneling out. So something I kind of weighed into my actual sensitivity and thought like, okay, maybe I don't want to have it the highest just because it's always going to be easy to edit ramps if you're above like 1.3, I feel like. And then walls, like he said, it's actually better to be lower. So I just kind of met in the middle one at 1.5, and it's actually been pretty nice. I've been cleaning up in a few scrim matches at endgame. My endgame edits have felt nice. So I think 1.5 is a good range for me. But then again, I just want to let you guys know, completely like all the other ones, keep just messing around with it, figure out what's best for you and kind of how you play. Because if you're more of just like a pub stomper and you just want the quick edits to get in a 1x1 and W key, whatever, that's fine. You might want to rock a little bit of a higher one. But if you're more on the scrim-based style, more competitive, and you want to get to the end game and really win, maybe rock the lower one, just because editing out of walls is such a big focus at the end and you don't want to get focused in the game. So do whatever you think is best. If you think you're going to be better on the higher one, rock with it, stick with it. But if you think if you're more of that slower player that's more about editing walls and ramps, go with the lower one. That's my advice, that's my input, but take away. Let me know down in the comments what you're going to be rocking with on the edit mode sensitivity since it just came out. I'm sure over time I'll make more videos and more settings videos and update mine over time, but as of right now, mine is at 1.501. In my settings videos in the past, I actually covered some game settings, stuff like auto open doors, auto pick up weapons, auto sort consumables to the right, stuff like that, and I'm actually not going to be covering that in this video. I want to more focus on my actual controller settings. That's more just general gameplay settings, but if you do want to take something away from that, feel free to go check out my other settings videos in the past where I go a little more in depth, but in this video I don't feel like it's fitting, so if you need that, I'll link those down in the description for you guys to go check those out. But the next thing I want to cover for my controller is the dead zone setting. I want to preface this real quick by saying PS4 and Xbox have different default dead zones just because of the thumbsticks and how they're manufactured. So there's going to be a different default one. This is the default one for my Xbox One controller. I'll reset it for you real quick, but basically it's going to be 0.27 and then 0.24 on the left. So the right is 0.27, which you want to worry about more because that's more about your shotgun aim and just targeting enemies and just aiming in general. And your left stick is going to be more about your just straight movement, just walking around, running around. So I actually run my left stick a little bit lower at 0.19 just because I feel like I want to have a little bit more of a jerky movement just to like jump through windows, jump through walls, basically just all around just you have like a little bit quicker of movement. I don't know, that's just me personally. Then on the right stick, I actually leave it at default, and the whole thing with this is I've been playing for a year and a half on that controller, just used to it. I actually switched from a PS4 controller, but that's besides the point, but I'm just so used to just rocking the default one. No point in switching it up since they added it in, so I just rock the default at 0.27. But then again, like I said, this is for an Xbox controller. If you're on PS4, it's going to be completely different, so I don't want to speak on that. But basically, just like all these other settings, these are going to be completely preference. If you want to have quicker, snappier shotgun shots and like really try to flick people and hang on like, I don't know, crazy sensitivity, I would suggest rocking a lower dead zone, but be careful of drift, because if you go below like the 0.1 range, you might start seeing auto drift where you're just sitting there in controller and starts moving. So dead zone is something you really want to experiment with depending on how you play, because if you do get the drift, it can actually be very bad if you get to the end of the game and your controller's moving on its own. So it's something to be aware of. But yes, I just use the default for my dead zone. What do you guys use? Let me know down in the comments down below. And if you guys were wondering what the best binds are, I don't want to cover my binds completely right now in this video just because it's pretty lengthy and I have a whole explanation and theory behind it of how you should set your binds up if you don't play claw. I personally do play claw, so it's going to be a little bit different. That's why I really don't suggest my binds to people. But I'll link the video down in the description of what the best controller binds are if you're a claw player, non-claw player, if you have paddles, whatever it may be. So check that out down in the description below. But people are always asking, do I use paddles? Just answered up a little bit ago, but no, I don't use paddles. I play straight claw. I'm just used to it. Been playing for a while. Then the other thing is, do I use control freaks at all? And yes, I actually do use the one control freak. I use the Galaxy. It's the purple one. I use the smaller one on my right stick. I only use one just because, like I said, the left stick's just your straight left-right movement, and the thumbstick's where all the aiming is done, so that's the more important one, at least to the right stick. So that is it for this video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys are new, like I said, please make sure to subscribe, turn on notice, leave a like on the video. Hope you guys did enjoy this, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.